All right, let's dive into one of nature's biggest head-scratchers, the female spotted hyena. She's not just a predator, she's the absolute ruler of her clan. And her biology is so strange, it forces us to rethink pretty much everything we thought we knew about mammals.
And you know what? Let's just get right to the heart of the weirdness. This is a real mind-bending fact. Yep, you heard that correctly. The female spotted hyena has a penis-like organ that she uses for, well, everything. So the big questions are, how in the world is that even possible? And maybe even more important, why would evolution ever lead to something like this?
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the strange anatomy itself. Then, we'll explore the classic theory about hormones, but we'll also see why that theory has a huge, deadly problem. And finally, we'll get into a much more fascinating idea that explains this wild evolutionary trade-off.
Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this whole thing, we've got to step into the spotted hyena's world. And trust me, it's a world where the females are in charge. Period.
So this feature at the center of our story is called the pseudopenis. And yeah, the definition seems pretty straightforward. It's a clitoris that's so long, it looks just like the male's organ. But believe me, calling it simple mimicry doesn't even begin to cover what's really going on here.
I mean, think about this. In pretty much every other mammal, these are all separate functions with separate parts. But for the female hyena, this one organ does it all. Mating is incredibly complicated and requires her complete cooperation. But the part that just blows scientists' minds is childbirth. Giving birth through a narrow tube like that, that's the real evolutionary head-scratcher.
And this bizarre anatomy doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? It's all happening inside this incredible social structure, a complete matriarchy. The females are bigger, stronger, and way more aggressive than the males. We're talking about a social ladder where even the lowest-ranking female bosses around the top-ranking male. You have to remember that because it's the key to this whole mystery.
For a long, long time, scientists thought they had this all figured out, and the answer seemed pretty simple. It was all about hormones.
The question was, what mechanism could create a female with so many male-like traits? The go-to answer for decades was a huge flood of androgens, also known as male sex hormones.
And the theory went something like this. It all starts in the mother's ovaries, which pump out tons of a precursor hormone. Then, that hormone crosses the placenta, which acts like a little factory, turning it into powerful testosterone. So the developing female fetus is just marinating in male hormones inside the womb, and that, everyone thought, explained everything. The pseudopenis, the aggression, the whole shebang. Case closed, right?
Well, not so fast, because that's the great thing about science, right? People keep digging, and when they looked closer at this one, they found some huge life-and-death problems with the simple hormone idea. And here's the kicker, the big plot twist that changed everything. Groundbreaking research showed that this structure starts developing in the fetus, in both males and females, before their bodies are even producing those androgens. Think about that. How can testosterone be the cause if the thing is already growing before the testosterone shows up? It just can't be. Yeah, this quote from the researchers pretty much seals it. Sure, hormones play a role later on, but they don't kick off the process. And that's huge. It means this whole thing isn't just some weird accidental side effect of high testosterone. Nope, this had to have evolved for a specific reason.
And that brings us to the million-dollar question. If this thing evolved on purpose, then there has to be a benefit, right? But what benefit could possibly be worth the absolutely insane cost? Because the cost is, well, it's brutal. I mean, just listen to this. The birth canal is extremely long and narrow. For a mother having her first cub, it actually has to tear to let the baby pass. It's so dangerous that more than 60% of firstborn cubs don't survive. They suffocate during the birth. The mothers themselves are also in incredible danger. So whatever the benefit is, it has to be absolutely massive to justify that kind of risk.
So you can see the conflict, right? It's a massive evolutionary trade-off. In one corner, you have the benefits, a super stable society run by powerful females that makes the whole clan successful. In the other corner, you have the terrible costs, a childbirth process that's just a nightmare. For nature to keep this system around, there has to be a game-changing reason. So, what is it?
And this is where we get to the really cool part, the leading theory today. It shifts the focus away from internal hormones and looks at an external social strategy. It's called the sexual mimicry theory.
The idea here is just brilliant. Think about it.
In a world where the females are the most aggressive ones, being a young, vulnerable female is actually pretty dangerous. So this theory suggests the pseudopenis evolved as a kind of disguise. It's social camouflage to make young females look like less threatening males, so the bigger, dominant females leave them alone.
And this male costume could save their lives in a bunch of ways. For one, hyena cubs are born with teeth, ready to fight, and they sometimes kill their own siblings. Looking male might make a female cub less of a target. It could also protect them from other adult females in the clan who might see them as future competition, and it might even help during fights with other clans. Basically, when the biggest threat comes from other females, looking like a non-threatening male could be your best survival strategy.
Okay, so let's put all these pieces together now. When we connect all these dots, we get this really powerful conclusion about what it costs to be in charge in the hyena world.
So here's the bottom line. The pseudopenis is not an evolutionary mistake. It's a feature, not a bug. It's an incredibly high-stakes gamble. That horrible risk during childbirth, that's the price they pay to keep their female-run society stable and strong. And it's that very social system that makes them such successful, formidable predators. The anatomy supports the society.
And this quote just says it all perfectly. Hyenas are living right on the edge of this paradox. They have this incredibly risky way of reproducing that has stuck around for millions of years, all because it's the glue that holds their unique social world together. It's weird, it's dangerous, but somehow it works.
And that leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? The hyena's story shows us that sometimes what looks like a crazy flaw in nature is actually a really clever solution to a problem we just hadn't figured out yet. It makes you wonder, what else is out there that we've written off as a mistake when it's really the secret to an animal's success?